Hey guys, James Phillips here. This is the DME PrepZone Awards Show 2020. I'm joined by Johnathan Bentley and Brian Hale. Guys, 2020 was an interesting year. I mean, from January all the way to now, it's been an interesting year. But specifically for high school football, we didn't know if we'd have a season. We didn't know if we'd finish the season. There were, teams that couldn't play because of forfeits and virus and all that kind of stuff. But we made it through. We had a whole year for most teams, and even got through the playoffs. So I call that a win, as crazy as this year's been. So just kind of give us a little information, Brian, about how you think this season went.
Well, first and foremost, we took what we got. I mean, at first, I think we all pretty much came in and said to ourselves, if we can get to week 3 or even week 5, great. We've actually made it through the full season. So obviously that's a big blessing. But I think we got to see some of what we thought originally if we would have had a full season come out. I think the big surprise was, of course, the big bounce back by Summoning Christian. They were really good, this year and getting things moved from going 1-9 the past 2 seasons to obviously making the playoffs. Another strong year from Oakman. They made the playoffs and were a couple of plays away from something really big. Dora, of course, they got hit by the COVID, and that shifted their playoff.
Right, cost them a couple games too.
But they made a big bounce back after a couple of years as a 5A team. That was good to see. So, overall, look, we took obviously what we got, and we were happy that we got it.
Right.
But yeah, I think it was overall, what we saw was a really pretty good year.
Right. Well, and to be perfectly honest, getting through the season was great. We did kind of have a down year overall in Walker County, but Winston County kind of picked it up for us, I think.
Yeah, it was another, we need Dora to do well. We said that going into the season. Jasper had a step back, moving up to 6A. Dora was kind of streaky.
Yeah.
Oakman, like you said, was a couple plays away from maybe winning the region.
Right.
And here they were having to travel. Dora had to travel. But Winston County was good. And Addison was our best team again. I think it's 2 years in a row, second round. And Lynn and Meek were okay. It was all you wanted to do was finish the season. Curry, I got hit the worst.
Right.
6 games. Carbon Hill missed 1. I think Oakman missed 1. But I really thought it was going to be like 3 weeks and we were done.
Yeah, and that's what I think all of us really thought. If we can get through a few weeks, that's why most teams had their senior nights, their first home game.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, people probably want to know what we're talking about today. We're going to go through our players of the year and some of the, I guess we would say, honorable mentions. Along with each of those, we'll go through each position. I hate that you guys did not get the memo that this was a black tie affair, like I did.
I don't know if I could fit into one of my black ties anymore.
Well,
I'd have to watch a YouTube video on how to tie a tie. That's how long it's been.
I knew that would be the case. Just get like your father-in-law to tie it for you, and then you just kind of slip it off and leave it. That's what you do. I guess we're going to start at the top, right? We're going to start at quarterbacks. Johnathan, you're going to tell us about some of the better quarterbacks in the area.
It was a good year for quarterbacks. I will say that. Baylor Odom, I'll list the first 4. He had a Roberts at Addison.
Right.
And Bubba Odom.
Right.
At Oakman.
Right.
Cody Hedrick, which was basically the offensive leader at Cordova. And Jordan Robertson had a good season at somebody. It was good 4 solid quarterbacks, at least.
Right.
Probably leaving some out also.
Well, yeah.
We had to cut it to 4.
Right.
There you go. And we gave that award to Roberts at Addison. He was their offense.
Yeah, Christian Roberts did a little bit of everything.
You got
his stats?
Yeah, he rushed for 1,086 yards. That's just rushing.
Right.
14 touchdowns, had 544 passing, another 12. 26 touchdowns, a pretty good season.
Yeah, that's a good season.
That was probably far and away the most touchdowns for Addison.
Right.
And nobody else. These other guys had good numbers. Hedrick was great. And Odom really picked it up as the year went on. But, yeah, Roberts was the clear winner on that.
When Odom just a 10th grader, right?
Yeah.
So he really kind of gained some leadership and that sort of thing.
And he never started.
Right.
His first start was against Gordo.
Yeah.
And he jumped right in.
And didn't he have like 4 touchdowns that game or something?
He had a good game, and just Gordo. Yeah. And his last game was against Fife.
Right.
So he played Gordo and Fife.
Yeah, that's tough.
2 teams that played for the championship.
Yeah.
Not against each other, but in different classifications.
All right, so Christian Roberts of Addison's our quarterback of the year.
Quarterback.
All right, Brian, you're going to talk about our running backs this year.
I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of surprise in this one. First, let's talk about our guys that were our runners-up. And both of them, you're talking about 1,000-yard rushers. First off, Tommy Reed at corner. He had 1,039 yards rushing, also had 8 touchdowns. Jamarcus Goodman, a really good season for him, despite Dora's games that they missed because of COVID. He finished up with 1,131 and 9 touchdowns. So really good year for Jamarcus, but no surprise here. Austin Owens, 1,774 yards rushing, 22 touchdowns. The last game that they played against Red Bay, of course, he got injured real early.
Right.
So he wasn't finished in that one. We don't know. Of course, Red Bay's got a great defense. We don't know. He could have ended up with 2,000 yards on the season.
Well, and didn't he miss a game during the season also? Didn't they have to?
Yeah.
Yeah, midfield. They didn't play midfield.
He
So
would have got it.
he'd have got 2,000 yards if they played midfield.
Easily. There's no telling what those touchdown numbers could have ended up with. So, of course, big congratulations to him. I don't think we had any surprise because it's been a pretty good while since we've seen even Christian Hubbard, who was a great running back last year. He didn't even have these numbers. So
Right.
it really says a lot about Austin Owens and the performance he and his offensive line had this year.
Well, and I feel like it was kind of a down year for running backs. We really only had 3 running backs to break 1,000 yards, and usually we'll have 5 or 6 at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I guess I get to talk about wide receivers. Our 2 runners-up, Caden Airmore of Cordova, he caught about 600 yards. He was definitely the favorite target of Cody Hedrick. And then we've also got D. Wilkerson of Dora. He caught 9 touchdowns, had 624 yards receiving. And then our wide receiver of the year is Denzel Chapman of Oakman. He caught 7 touchdowns for 605 yards, but we just put him over the Dora receiver due to the leadership and the impact that he brought to that team. Like, he was a dynamic player. Every time they needed a big play, they needed a big catch for a first down, that's who they went to. He made the plays and was really a huge part of Oakman's offense.
Yeah, he was an all-state player. So was obviously Owens made all-state team.
Right.
And I think Roberts made it so
Right.
far. I mean, yeah, Denzel Chapman's a difference maker.
Right.
He went to Oakland this year.
Yeah. And you saw them a lot, too.
Yeah, one of our players of the week as well for an outstanding game that he had. And, he was really one of those wide receivers that when you needed that clutch play, he would come up with it.
Right.
And, of course, when you're a brand new quarterback like Bubba Odom and you've got to have one of those receivers, it's great to see him down the field.
Right. I get to go twice now.
Oh,
so, offensive line, we get to talk about those big, ugly guys there up front. The runners-up were Austin Wood of Oakman. He really led that Oakman line. They were very balanced this year. Good as far as passing numbers and rushing numbers, and for him to lead that line, that says a lot. Jake McDonald of Summerton Christian, you talked about how the turnaround at Summerton Christian, he was a second-team All-State player. But our winner for offensive line of the year is Dalton Dawkins of Jasper. Jasper didn't have the season that they wanted to have, but Dawkins is, I would say, coming into next year, he's a guy that we should be looking for to sign a college scholarship. He's a big kid. He's 6'2", 300 pounds, mostly muscle too. Like, he has really transformed his body over the last 2 years to where he was kind of a pudgy kid, and now he's built and strong. And also one of those kids that you pass by in the hallway or you pass by him on the sidelines and he says, "Hey, Mr. Phillips, how's it going?" Just a good kid that makes good grades and does good things at the school as well on the field.
That's got a collegiate offensive guard written all over it, it sounds like to me.
Right.
Yeah, and you saw him a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, you went to every Jasper game this year.
Yeah, I mean, y'all kind of make fun that I'm the Jasper guy, that I graduated from county school, but now that my son's graduated or will be graduating, I think I'll get to see some county teams next year a little bit
I like
more.
that you said county school instead of naming next school.
Right. All right, now we're going to go to Jonathan to talk about the defensive line. So let's hear about some of these guys.
Okay, obviously we have a runaway winner here that we already mentioned his brother.
Right.
But first I'll talk about Christian Height at Summerton Christian. Yet again, one of those guys that helped that turnaround. These guys were all really good.
Yeah.
We met him at Media Day, start the year.
He had the mullet.
Yeah, and he turned into a really good player. A
Aquaman.
little bit of everything for him.
Yeah.
Then we got Brody Vinson, You know, he's always been here.
Right.
I saw on Twitter, it looks like he's going to Rice, maybe.
Yeah, he's had offers from Harvard and UT Martin and now Rice. They just offered him.
Yeah, so we know he's going somewhere. I mean, we've seen this kid for years.
Yeah.
He's a great football player and wrestler.
Right. And he has like a 32 on his ACT.
So, I mean, Rice is those are all great schools.
That's a top 25 academic school.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, this guy's going somewhere. And the winner, though, is A.J. Odom. Talked about his brother Baylor. He just unbelievable season again. If you ever just watch Oakman, number 2 will jump off. He's always doing something. He's everywhere. He had 103 tackles, 26 for loss, 10 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble returns. I think he even had an interception. Just did everything. So Odom is our defensive lineman.
103 tackles from any defensive line position is incredible.
That's good for a linebacker.
Yeah.
And
I think he did play a little bit. He's kind of outside on the line. It was like a linebacker / lineman. But what a season he had.
Yeah. Excellent.
All right, Brian, you're going to tell us about linebackers. Speaking of linebackers, who's our linebacker of the year and the runners-up in that position?
Well, let's take a look at our runners-up. Connor Whitley from Jasper. He was kind of more or less that quarterback in the middle for that defense. He was experienced, had 94 tackles, did a lot of good things for the Vikings. Tyler Engel for Summoning Christian, 134 tackles. He had 18 tackles for a loss and 4 fumbles. Really strong. This category was a little bit more contested than some of our other ones.
Right.
But Joshua Myrick at corner, 145 tackles. It's kind of hard to beat that.
Right.
And it's kind of hard for the first time in years to not call out Alex Atkins for linebacker.
Right, yeah, we talked about him a lot every year. And well, that's how Myrick has been also. This is his 3rd time to be named All-State?
Mm-hmm.
First team All-State 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's most people cannot say they did that from their sophomore year to their senior year.
Keep that going, yeah. And they had a brutal schedule.
Yeah,
5A was really tough.
Yeah.
But he got his numbers every year.
So Myrick, great job by him. He's our linebacker of the year. I get to talk about the secondary. Those guys that, when the defensive line can't make the play, the linebackers can't make the play, that's your last line of defense. And we had some good ones. This was definitely a contested and we have one player in the area, Kevon Samuel, who didn't even make this list, and he's probably the highest prospect in that, but nobody would throw at him, so he didn't have any numbers this year.
That's true.
So we have Cameron Blaylock at corner. That Yellow Jackets defense was just outstanding the whole year. It was their offense that had to catch up a little bit. And then Caden Marchbanks at Oakman, another Oakman guy who made a difference on both sides of the ball, but played really well at the secondary there as a safety for Oakman. And then our secondary player of the year is Mason Slaughter of Jasper. He had 78 tackles, but also he played secondary. He played linebacker. He played running back. He was in on special teams. He wanted to make tackles on special teams. He blocked punts. He did a little bit of everything. And also just a great kid. Like, he always carried the American flag out before the games. He's supposed to be going to one of the Armed Forces Academies, a military academy. So that's going to be something to look forward to. I think he can play football at that level. And that's what the Jasper coaching staff has said, that he'll probably have an opportunity to play at one of those places. Awesome. So Mason Slaughter gets it. Now, Brian, all-purpose offense. We got a couple guys to talk about.
Yeah, first and foremost, these are not just a one person. We're awarding it for both. So Colin Daniel at corner, another one of those Daniels for corner that absolutely knows what to do when he gets his hands on the ball. Did just a little bit about everything. Eli Moon, too, at Summoning Christian. Eli lined up at quarterback, and not just a wildcat. He threw some passes. He ran the ball. He would line up as a receiver. He could return kicks for them, just all around. What I kind of like to call the David Palmer Award.
Yeah.
Just lined up and did anything on offense that you needed to, and both contributed very well.
Right. Okay. Eli Moon and Colin Daniel there. Both those guys did a great job playing multiple places and made a difference in their games for sure. Jonathan, all-purpose defense. We've got 2 kids from the same school.
Yeah, that a county school.
Actually. Right. That county school that I graduated from.
Got Dora, and these guys were really good. I remember we did a story on Ronnie Waldrop during the year when he switched. This is a kid that'll play anywhere.
Right. He was playing a skill position and switched to the offensive line on offense.
Yeah.
but then was playing incredible on defense too.
Yeah, I mean, I got his defensive numbers in 9 games. You know, they had 2. It should have been 11.
Right.
He had 66 tackles, 4 sacks, 12 tackles for loss. And the other one up for this award is Javen McDavid for Dora. Also.
Right.
And he had 56 tackles, but he just did a little bit of everything. 4 interceptions, 5 tackles for loss. He was on offense. He also threw a touchdown pass.
Right.
So we given that to McDavid, but I mean, it was close. And
Right.
Waldrop is really, really good.
That's right.
These guys
yeah.
can play any position for probably anybody in the county.
Yeah, definitely could.
And they both coming back for Chavis Williams next year.
Oh yeah. And I saw Chavis today, and he's excited about what's going to happen at Dora the next few years. He invited me to come back and cover their games.
You've covered them. Just
I covered them even this year. That's right. All right, now we're going to get into the big awards: our Coach of the Year, Special Teams Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Offensive Player of the Year. Coach of the Year, Jonathan, we'll let you handle that.
I'm glad. We were really happy to see this guy turn things around. It is David Powell at Summoning Christian. He beat out probably Ryan Hall. I thought some other coaches maybe that didn't win as many games. I mean, Chavis did a great job.
Right. Well, and the Winston County coach, we considered him.
Martin
He did a great job.
Excellent job. Yeah, with one guy.
Right.
And but Powell, you know, I mean, this guy's a veteran. He's a winner at McAdory for years, 20-something years. Comes to Summoning Christian, huge surprise for everybody.
And who's been down,
Yes.
you know.
And 1-9 last year. They moved to 1A. That was a big change.
It was a key.
That's where they needed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, and they went to the playoffs.
Right.
I think they won 6 games, 6-5.
Mm-hmm.
But after 2 1-9s, yeah, they were, and it was fun to watch. It was
Right.
fun to see them do well.
And the kids were excited. They were happy to be playing football. The thing I liked about Coach Powell was, you know, with doing the prep zone thing for the last couple years, it takes the coaches a little time to figure out exactly what we're talking about when we say we're going to come video something or whatever. And he was the last one to figure out what we were doing. And so I remember calling and talking to him, and he was like, "Y'all want to do what?" You know, but then y'all went out there. I didn't get to go that day. Y'all went out there, and he just loved it, and he loved every part of it. And it clicked to him what we were doing to recognize the kids and recognize their program. And he was so easy to work with. So that was really neat to see the light bulb go off. You know, this is what they're doing. You know?
It's fun to go out there and see them doing well.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, he really did take to it, and we'll be there a lot next year, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, I think
just
so.
5 seniors, guys. That's all that they had this year. And you consider that 3 of their games was a combined, I think, lost 16 points.
Right.
They could have easily ended the season 9-1.
Right.
Easily.
Yeah, they could have. All right, our Special Teams Player of the Year. There's a theme with the people I'm talking about. Every person I've talked about is either from Jasper or they played at Jasper the year before. So it is a Jasper player. Preston Reed is our Special Teams Player of the Year. This kid never left the field. Like, he was on there. He was the kicker punter. He was their a safety. He was a wide receiver. And then on kickoffs or punt returns, those kind of things, he was out there for those and was the guy who said, okay, this is how we're going to line up. So he did everything on the Jasper special teams and even on offense and defense. Didn't have as strong a year kicking this year as he did last year, but did a good job as a punter. And so he is our Special Teams Player of the Year, Preston Reed. Also a state champion wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Defending.
This guy's an athlete.
Yeah. So he will, if he didn't get the punt off and somebody was, you know, they're not going to rough the kicker on him because he will take them down.
Now, is he back?
Yeah, he'll be back. Yeah, he was a junior this year, so he'll be back next year. All right. Defensive Player of the Year, Brian. This is yours.
Well, he started off as our preseason Defensive Player of the Year, and he will end the season as our Player of the Year. Really no big surprise here with the amount of just absolute havoc that he wrecks on defenses. A.J. Odom, you know, anytime that you can have a guy on the defensive line that makes a quarterback automatically say, I got to know where he's at because he will put me down. And a running back that says, okay, where is he going to be coming through the gap? You know, that's a special player. Obviously, offenses know automatically you're going to have to account for him. So anytime that you do that, it's worthy of Player of the Year. And as you mentioned, JP, 103 tackles from a line position is just, that's extraordinary.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that you never expect to see that from a defensive lineman, but then 26 tackles for a loss, that's big, and 10 sacks. I mean, he made a difference in games just in those plays.
Absolutely.
And he'll be another guy we're talking about going to a Division I school probably next year.
Right.
Arizona's been interested in Troy, I think, so far.
Right, yeah. I mean, he's somebody, and I mean, he comes from quite a pedigree as far as football goes, so he will definitely be somebody to watch next year that's going to be getting some offers. All right, our final one, Offensive Player of the Year, and our overall Player of the Year. This is a pretty easy one this year.
You got to break your streak now.
Oh, yeah,
You
that's
just
right.
talked
This
about it.
has
You gotta
nothing to
break
do
your
with
streak.
Jasper at all. It's not even Walker County.
That's right.
This is a Winston County guy, Austin Owens. And, you know, I didn't even get a chance to see him play this year. We got to meet him. Not a cocky kid at all. He didn't even want to speak on camera.
Opposite of that.
But he was the bell cow, if there's ever been a bell cow for Winston County. Like, he did everything. And if he wasn't having a great game running the ball, he ran back a kick or two in a game. You know, like, it's just when they needed something, he was the spark. And to be able to run for 1,700 yards and 22 touchdowns and miss a game and then get hurt in his playoff game, he could have ran for well over 2,000 yards and, 25, 26, 27 touchdowns.
And the game that I saw him, he turned around and did it on defense. He had 2 interceptions and recovered a fumble.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is just worthy of Player of the Year. But, as we alluded to during the running back of the year presentation, he had a game that he was injured at and then another game that Winston County missed. There's no telling what we would have had over a 2,000-yard rusher, and there's no telling what those touchdowns could have been.
Right. And we really are hopeful. He is a first-team All-State player. We're hopeful he's going to be a finalist for back of the year and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's good enough.
Yeah.
This guy, you imagine he'd do at Hoover.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he'd light it up wherever he was.
I think he would too, yeah.
Winston County is very fortunate. I mean, it's 4 years of this kid.
Yeah, he started all 4 years.
Every single year.
Because I thought this year when we started and we said Austin Owens was back, I thought this was about his 7th year to play it in Double Springs. But he's an incredible player. I'm glad that we all got a chance to cover him. Guys, that's the end of it for this season. We talked about the year. It's been a great year. I hope that next year, bigger and better things for PrepZone if we can get past this virus. We've got a lot of things planned. We had some things planned that we just didn't get to do this year. Next year, we really want this event to be an event. We want to be able to give awards out to kids, invite them in, that sort of thing. So if we can get past COVID, that's going to be a plan for next year. And hopefully we can grow the PrepZone brand further than just football, that we can winter sports and stuff this year. Maybe spring sports we can do a little more and have some PrepZone information for those. So
get back outdoors.
Right,
Would be the main thing.
So anything you guys got to say?
2020, we will miss you about as much as a bad staph infection.
Well, there you go.
That sums it up.
But
I hate the season's over enough. It's always like you're looking forward to the next football season.
Yeah, because we always, you start the year so excited. And then you kind of get through the year and you get to the playoffs and you're like, well, I'm glad that's over for a week. And then we're like, let's get back to next year, So it's a love-hate. Well, never hate, but it's a love, get tired sometimes.
Right.
And we got to say something about Jeffrey Winborn, who produces all these shows. This guy stays up all night long during the football season and makes us look, I wouldn't say great, but he makes us look pretty good.
Presentable.
Well, he's not a miracle worker.
Right. But he does a great job. He's the one that gets the footage on the sidelines during games. And then, if we need him to really cover a game, he'll get in there and do that too. So we want to say thank you to Jeffrey. He's all-purpose.
He was on the list too.
The Deuce.
Yeah. He was our all-purpose PrepZone Employee of the Year. That's what we'll say. So, all right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We hope we've entertained you some this year, but we hope we've given you plenty of information about prep football in the area. We'll see you in 2021.